live. They can see us. They can hear us. If there's anyone here, if you're in the channel, if there's anyone in the chat, let us know. If you can't, I think we're
Smell
good.
us with the proper apps.
Still waiting for that smell-o-vision.
Just gotta put the right Foundry add-ins in.
Oh, maybe I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't someone working on that, because there's like a module for everything in Foundry. Yeah. So Foundry, by the way, if you haven't, for those of you listening or watching later on YouTube, Foundry's new virtual tabletop, pretty awesome. We've been using it for Vaesen. There's so many bells and whistles that are totally distracting me, because I get distracted by bells and whistles, like being able to make the screen snow. So I'm like a little cat. Like
This is not a paid sponsorship, but it could be. But it could be.
Foundry? Okay. So let's get started. Vaesen, again, we're continuing. This is going to be part 2 of the sort of the custom original mystery we got going on, the wreck of the Elsa Olofsson, in which you all investigate the wreck of the Elsa Olofsson. So let's get some plugs out of the way. Adventures in Lollygagging. We play a bunch of different games on the internet. This channel, twitch.tv/lollygaggers. If you're watching this on YouTube, come join us some night live. That'd be great. We also play Beat Year Zero every like twice a month on the weekends, and some Electric Bastard Land on Thursdays. You can catch us on twitch.tv/ZweihanderRPG playing Zweihander. And we also got a podcast, Adventures in Lollygagging. You can find us. Other folks, Bert, tell us about your podcast.
Of Steam, Steal, or Murder. Nothing going on there right now, but there's 10 years of backlog. Nice. Also, check out the Notorious DMG on both Twitch and YouTube. Lots of fun games going on there, including a Shadowrun game now.
Yeah. That Shadowrun game's great. Chuck and I are a part of that. Bert's been... it's just I'm having so much fun. Like being able to play Shadowrun in a way that seems accessible is it's been great. Like it's been so good.
We're not using the system for Shadowrun.
And Cortex Prime's been really fun too. So I'm pretty excited for more. All right, Chuck, tell us about Defenders.
Oh my gosh, Defenders of Cobalt. We're a live stream Twitch gameplay thing. But you can also catch us on the Zweihander Twitch channel and the Goodman Games Twitch channel. But most importantly, you can go to Drive-Thru-RPG and you can buy our zine. Dan Dies at the End. Number 1 is out right now. And there's a decent amount of us here in this channel right now who created content for it. And number 2 is in the works.
Put the image up. Okay.
Mm-hmm. There it is.
Dan, how do you feel about this magazine? Because you die at the end, apparently.
This is like business as usual.
Mm-hmm. It dies in the end every time. So
every time.
So it comes back at least.
Right there.
Yeah.
The spoilers, he dies at the end. It's on the back cover. They pull him like one of those Christmas poppers where you pull it and it pops and there's a little gift inside.
Yeah.
The monster does that to Dan and he pulls him apart like a Dan Miss Popper.
Okay.
And the presents are just guts.
Dan Miss Popper.
Maybe he likes that.
Dan Miss Popper. Is Brendan in the chat? Can we get him to judge that pun? Dan Miss Popper?
He is without internet tonight.
What?
So I don't know if he's going to make it. Yeah.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
I know.
It's terrible.
Okay. Other thing, Chuck and I are playing tomorrow night on twitch.tv/Grim and Perilous Plays. You can catch him and I and a bunch of other friends playing more Free League games as we continue and maybe finish Alien Destroyer of Worlds. I don't know if we're going to get it all. Matt's not sure if we're going to get it done in one.
Yeah,
or two
Matt's
sessions.
been hyping up Act 3 is going to be intense.
He keeps taunting our third act goals or objectives, whatever they are. So we'll see. Jen in the channel, she's playing as well. So it's a lot of fun. So come check that out tomorrow night. And anybody else want to plug such? Jeremy, you want to say something about Grip and Perilous? Or
honestly, they're already watching you beautiful people on this Zweihander line. We've got Grim and Perilous Plays. I will say there's some fun stuff maybe in the future with a little bit more Hellboy on Grim and Perilous Plays. That's also been pretty cool.
So I feel like there's something else you should be plugging, though. Shouldn't there be something else you're plugging? I feel. Hang on, I can find this, but there should be something else that I think you're doing these days. Isn't that correct? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about right now?
I'm not sure if it's been uploaded yet, but myself and Matt Jowett and Ken Duque have been working on a podcast called Flutecast. We just recently wrapped up working on the Ninja Turtles Urban Legends run.
Yeah.
Oh,
There it is.
I guess I did get put together today. We were kind of like just finishing up.
I saw Matt dropped it. So there's like a big old thing. He's got the TMNT, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Urban Legends, Batman Contagion. I think those are the 2 that are up, right?
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
good. We got it wrapped up today then.
So there you go. Pludcast.
Check it out
for Jeremy. So Jeremy now has something he will have to plug every single time.
Every time.
That we start this podcast or start this podcast. Start this show. Okay.
I'm a bad plugger.
Okay.
You'll be ready for the end of the show. You're going to be ready to go. Prepared.
So much plug it. There's just plugging and gagging and defending. It's just so much stuff. I don't think I actually see the chat yet, so it's all good. Okay. I won't get in trouble for it yet. Shall we get started? Are we good? Ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So what do you all remember? We started a new mystery last week. What comes to mind?
We tracked down cocaine.
Yes, cocaine.
Number one takeaway.
Made up a new name, Rubitega.
One of the questions on the YouTube video where I posted this, they're like, "Was cocaine illicit then?" I'm like, I don't know.
No.
This could be hard to get because of moral laws.
Yeah, moral laws.
Right.
So,
Go to your local Walgreens.
So,
And instead of buying it from the man standing outside of the store, you buy it from the man standing behind the counter.
so
This amazing new American invention called Coca-Cola.
So yeah, Gunnar was spending most of the winter without his fix. There was a fire in the hospital where Yürgan works, so he couldn't get to his normal supply, and then couldn't find anyone else to satisfy it. Finally, after traveling to Christenham, which is where much of this mystery will take place, you found something to satisfy that. And the reason we're bringing that up, by the way, is that's Gunnar's dark secret. So dark secrets are things that, as a GM, you're supposed to sort of pull on every now and then. Dan, you got a new name, Rubitega. I got that too. You have like a disguise kit. Do you want to tell people why you're wearing a disguise?
I'm probably not very well liked around here.
Okay.
By some people.
Yeah.
For reasons.
Shall we let those come out naturally, or do you want to drop it?
It might be kind of fun to let them come out naturally. Maybe.
Okay. Fair enough. What do you all remember about the mystery? Like the details of the mystery so far?
Yeah, we're checking out this boat. I don't know where my notes are at. That crashed along the shore.
Mm-hmm.
And when people went to investigate, it was just a complete bloodbath on the boat, except for the son of the owner of the company.
That's right. Yeah.
Who was sitting there completely kind of like shell shocked. He was kind of taken in for questioning. The people who own the boat. Yeah, that company that owns the boat desperately wants to get back on that boat and reclaim their cargo.
Yeah.
But the local constable is not allowing them. Their constables, she's still treating it like an active crime scene. She's hired local militia to kind of help defend it. And so, yeah, we also got the hint that there's maybe some section of woods here in the area that's got some kind of magical effect where, there's logging's big in the area, but whenever people go in to clear that land, they just, decide they don't want to and go home.
Yeah. You nailed all of it. Yeah.
And then there was some mention of fish people, I think, sort of coming out of the water onto the boat.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, there wasn't specific mention of fish people, but there was mention of something climbing onto the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm making some logical logical leaps here. Fish people.
And
came out of the lake.
Yeah. So we've got fill in some names.
Villains.
Helkvist Hauling was the name of the company. Gustav Helkvist was the name of the guy who was in the jail, which a few of you managed to speak with. Wilhelmina Haglin is the name of the sheriff or the constable of Christenham. Yeah. And then Jeremy, Caius has a connection to this area as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got an estate kind of, what was it, a good hour or so away from the town over towards the east into the woods.
Yep. That is true. And I think that's about it for the mysteries. Let's see. what else did you guys? I think actually you guys learned there's some gang activity because like there's another city up the coast because you guys are on the eastern side of a fairly large lake. One of the largest lakes I've learned in the European Union apparently is Lake Venern. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but you guys are kind of on the southeastern edge of it, and on the northeastern edge there's another place called Karlstad, which is where Dogmoore and Sigrid spent some time. And there is some sort of rumored trouble around the docks about like some like a gang kind of taking over. I think you've got a little
The regiment.
That's right. So you heard little bits and pieces about that as well. But we'll pick up where we left off, which is inside of the jail. It's nighttime. Probably not quite. I would say it's not midnight yet. It's maybe an hour or two past sundown. You spent some time in the Floundering Lad, which is the name of like an inn or pub within Christenham, and you checked in at the jail. I think Dogmoore was looking through the back window, correct? And then
which turns out to not have been quite so useful, but
yeah, it was useful. And then Sigrid and Caius and I think Anders went inside. Is that right?
yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if we'd like get right in to see him or not, which turns out we did. So.
Yeah. But you spoke with this Gusta who referenced like he as has been previewed. He is kind of a little bit crazy. He's babbling.
Talked about big eyes and pointy teeth.
Big eyes, pointy teeth, big claws.
Some drawings.
And he's drawing like these weird shapes on the wall and on the ground with whatever kind of piece of charcoal they gave him to just keep him busy. And that's where we'll pick it up. So what do you all want to do? The three of you are inside. We'll assume the other three are outside. What do we feel like doing?
Didn't at the end of last session, essentially the constable gave us the boot? Like,
sure. We'll say, yeah. I think
I
that
thought we
makes
were
sense.
pretty much kicked out
Yeah.
at that point, and that's
Yeah.
where we ended it.
She probably hustled you out once he started like freaking out a bit. He probably hustles.
yeah.
She probably hustles you all outside, and so
My last notes were sea dog howls wet dog. That was my last notes after the interrogation.
Sea dog howls wet dog.
Wet dog.
Okay.
So the last things I wrote down.
Okay. All right on. All right. So you can. I mean, today is also the day you traveled, so all of you are probably getting a little on the tired side. What's the plan? Are we staying in town, or are we making the trek to Caius's Force-side Wonderland?
I'd be in favor of
Caius's
that.
place will be cheaper.
That is
For
true.
sure.
unless Caius charges.
Charges.
He's like, okay, it's gonna be it.
I've been
Charge.
just luring you into a false sense of security, putting the money forward.
Because once they get out there, it's not
It's
like
gonna
they're
be like a
gonna
big
come back.
timeshare thing, basically. Like you too could invest in this wonderful piece of nature.
You're gonna sit down in a conference room for 3 hours. They tell us about all the.
It's an Airbnb.
Yeah, it's been a long con.
Yeah,
I only joined this whole monster investigation team just to suck you dry.
you're really committed, honestly, to this whole timeshare
Yeah.
thing. It's very impressive.
It is, yes.
All right, so those are like the two options for
This is
where to
dark
stay.
secret.
Yes, dark secret.
That's my dark
The
secret.
Timeshare
That really
salesman.
is dark. Oh my gosh. So those are your two basic options for staying. It's not like completely end of the day, but most businesses are shutting down, have shut down at this point. People are kind of starting to wind back and leave the lad, those who came out for drinking. So there's really not a whole lot left going on. But you're welcome to stay and try to get rooms at the Floundering Lad. You're welcome to leave. It's sort of up to you all.
So there is a night train going out or a later train?
If you're looking to get to Karlstad, there'll be one in the morning.
Morning. So yeah, we're staying somewhere, or we're drinking all night.
Ooh.
I don't know if I have the constitution for that anymore.
Uh-oh.
Curious to meet the missus. So my vote would be free night. Free.
Yeah.
And
Okay. So you all can head out if you want on foot. It's going to take a little longer on foot. You could try to grab some horses at stables or grab a wagon rental or something like that. But you can walk. It's not that far. It's walkable, so it's your call.
Well, you were saying the weather was beautiful
It is.
this time
It's
of
very
year,
nice.
so a little constitutional
Okay.
might be in order.
All right. So Caius would probably lead the way.
Of course.
Yeah, he would know, and I would say at least the first half of the journey out to where he lives is it's not in total isolation. You can see several like farmhouses and such here and there along the way. Lights and windows and such. Hear the sounds of laughter kind of cascading through the night. But eventually you don't really see much anymore. And you can tell that there is a bit of a gap between where Caius's manor is and where most civilization around Christenham is. So there's a good couple of miles there before you kind of reach that area. For the most part, the travel after the farmland is a little hilly, and so you can start to feel a little bit in your calves a bit. But the weather is very nice, and after staying cooped up inside of Castle Gillencritz for like a month now, doing not a whole lot, it probably doesn't get you too bad. Why don't you all just roll a force test really quick, just to see if any of you grow exhausted by the journey?
Oh no.
Hey Ashley, how's it going?
Look at all those not successes.
Oh boy. Maybe
Wow,
this is a terrible idea.
We're a group of thinkers, not a group of marchers.
We're all out of shape from staying in the castle.
Anyone who failed, just go ahead and take a physical condition as you. It just sort of
geez.
tires you out a little bit. There you go.
Exhausted.
Of course, Jeremy is the only one to succeed.
The castle must have black mold, and we're all have lung disease now.
Yeah, this is home.
Yeah.
This is where I'm comfortable.
Of course.
I'm actually like Caius is probably the most energized he's looked in a while.
You and out in front, I mean, there's probably more than once you kind of have to sort of stop and wait for the rest to catch up.
That's the problem. You were anxious to get home, and the rest of us did some drinking, and we're kind of dragging behind.
And not only that, but Caius, you start to get the sense that this group's not the only group that might be following you. You get this, you start hearing things shuffling about in the darkness a bit. I'm sure one or two of you at least have lanterns out, so no problem. But you can hear some things. Now, you're not in the forest quite yet. Like, this is more kind of hilly ground, a little rocky in certain places. Hasn't been milled. It's but it's not difficult. It's nothing too difficult. But you periodically like hear the sounds of like animals like rustling about, and every so often as you kind of move, your lantern to go look off to the west or to the east, you catch the very like a fleeting glowing eyes of something in the dark. The last time you have to sit and wait, you look back and you can see that they're a good like 100 feet or so behind you. And you can see to the east as you kind of hold up to the sky. As you look up to the sky, you can see like the tops of the trees, and you're really close now. You're like quarter a mile away. It's pretty close, and that's when you kind of hear these howls coming. Some are off to the northeast. It's not, and you're like, you don't really recall wolves being around your home area. Like, that's never really been an issue. Your wife would know better than you, but she's never complained about any. I mean, the forest itself, you two have probably walked within it dozens and dozens of times, and it's incredibly peaceful. It's like a Disney forest, for crying out loud. Like, squirrels come down and crawl on your shoulders and such, and then this sudden like this very, it certainly sounds like it. Very peculiar.
Oh, we're almost there. Let's get a spring in our steps.
Okay. And so, one by one, including Dogmoore, the 89-year-old man who has got dogs tugging as well, and these dogs are starting to go crazy. All of your dogs, because all of you now have dogs. Apparently, there's just hope your wife likes dogs, because there's just your dogs are starting to pant. They're starting to bark in different areas. You see a few of them are sniffing crazily against the ground. They come up, by these chunks of granite or stone that protrude out of the grass, and they're sniffing and sniffing and sniffing and tugging in all sorts of different directions. Most of the journey didn't have this problem whatsoever, and suddenly here within the last mile or 2 miles, it's just suddenly become distraction and confusion, and then the howl comes out again, and it's hard to kind of get a beeline on exactly where it came from. It's somewhere in the direction you're heading, eastward-ish.
Oh,
okay. So as you all catch up, take your breath. Caius has got his back to where his home is, like watching you all trudge up this last little hill. When Caius, you turn around to start leading them again, suddenly the light just shines, and you can see standing in front of all of you, 15 feet away maybe, you can see this elderly woman, fairly heavy set, kind of got like a dark, kind of a dark complexion to her, almost like a sickly green coloring in a way. She's fairly heavy set. You can't even place her age, and she's wearing clothes that have these sort of colorful, like greenish and sort of yellowish patterns, like on the shoulder pads and on the chest, and she's staring at you with these. You're not sure if her eyes are orange and yellow or if it's just a reflection of the lantern as she's just looking out at all of you. I need everyone but Caius to go ahead and roll a fear test. Because you can tell immediately, I don't think that is.
What's a fear test based on?
Pick either empathy or logic. You start examining her a little further, and you realize she's not. Certain things don't look right. There's things those aren't colors that you would expect to see on it. I mean, you can push this if you want, Dan, but it's probably not worth it.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. So, you can go ahead and just so Dan, you can go ahead and just take one mental condition. Caius, you would know that this is your wife. At least it's one of the forms of your wife, as she stares down at you all, and she's just there kind of holding in her hand like this big basket of like weeds and vegetables. And she says, took you long enough? In this kind of gravelly old woman voice.
I'm terribly sorry. It's been far too long. These are my friends. I was hoping to show them some courtesy while we were in the area.
Fine. And then she turns around and just begins waddling to the house. And you can see she's got this long sort of flowing, colorful dress with, you think, patches of like moss and greenery that are popping out in different places. And she's just sort of waddle. And she's got it, she's a little shorter than Caius. But she just waddles off into the darkness and assumes that you're all going to follow.
I assume everybody starts walking except for me, who stays put.
Yeah, you would probably hang back for a little bit until someone, maybe Sigrid, comes over, slaps you a little bit, and then, yeah. But it was kind of.
What are you doing? Don't be rude. That's his wife. Come on.
It's perfectly fine. It's no castle, but we'll have plenty of good food and drink, and it's comfortable and safe here.
So eventually, she gets out of the distance of you all, and you kind of can't see her anymore. But as you catch up and get up to the door of the house and everything, you go inside, wipe your shoes off and such. You can see that there is another woman in the middle of the home, much thinner, much younger, and her coloring seems to be more aligned with what you'd expect with a humanoid. There's not like kind of this greenish yellowish color to her, just sort of kind of almost like a tannish color. And she greets it. It's like a completely different voice, and she suddenly, "We don't have that many rooms, but we'll do what we can to make you all comfortable." as if just continuing the previous sentence's thought. You look around and you don't see the other woman that you just saw out in the shadows.
And I'll just get to work helping her kind of get the house ready to be accommodating for some guests.
The whole time,
just do my best to pretend like nothing's weird about this.
Sigurd is for an introduction.
So do you introduce?
Oh yeah, of course. I think Caius got distracted trying to act like nothing was strange and then forgot to actually do introductions. I'm incredibly sorry. That's very rude of me. Everybody, this is my wife, Aina. Aina, we are a motley crew, but Professor Anders, the esteemed Detective Gunner here, the Secret, a lovely priest, Dr. Yürgan, just amazing. And here's Dogmoore. You're going to love Dogmoore.
He's just Dogmoore.
And she just kind of looks at you and curtly nods at all of you. And then she kind of turns around and gets to work. When you look around, this place is just filled with greenery. Like there's all sorts of flower pots. There's hanging, there's things hanging from the ceiling. There's like beds coming up out of the ground. You see like this in sort of one of the rooms, there's like almost like a tree coming up from below that just sort of sprouts up like a coffee table in the middle of one of the rooms. It's all very naturalistic and it smells delightful in here. And you can see that on the back side, the eastern side of the house, there's like this kind of sliding door that leads out to like some kind of deck that overlooks part of the forest. But all the while, Caius, she's kind of staring daggers at you, like, yeah. And you can hear her mumble about the woman that the help that you hired. Not much help. Haven't seen her for days. And yes, she just up and left.
Oh no.
She was supposed to go to your town, apparently, and never returned. She didn't know how to properly water the different beds. I told you this was a terrible idea. I much prefer the forest, but... And...
Well,
Good?
You're just stammering, not really.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I meant well.
She's doing this all completely within earshot of everybody, like completely unapologetically about all of this. And you would all notice that she's got a bit of a baby bump. Even you guys would notice this.
Oh,
wait a minute. Hasn't he been with us long enough that that's not going to be his?
We'll see. A couple months. When do you start to show? When did you start? Who knows the answer to that question?
3 or 4 months.
3-4 months. I think would work out. Yeah, just before winter. Yeah, it barely works out. But then again, who knows? Caius has been away a long time. So, but yeah, you would all notice this as well. But she vaguely points to a couple guest rooms and such. There's a second floor, a nice little staircase, but the staircase has like these winding vines with flowers and such on them. It's almost like you're in like your own little cabin in the forest, but some of the forest is inside. So does anyone want to do anything?
I'll just smile and nod and listen to all of her grievances and try and think the best way to assist. And just take some time to make sure that I listen before I make excuses.
Okay. Yeah, she said, and she was supposed to send you a letter. Did you receive a letter?
No, the only letter we received was about the incident to the city to the west of here.
Useless. If you're going to hire help, then please make them better than that one. Just absolutely atrocious woman. Constantly afraid to go outside, afraid of the forest, says she's being followed, all sorts of things. And I keep telling her, no, everything's fine. I insisted that we didn't even need this to begin with. While you're gone, I could just go back to where you found me and everything would be just fine. But no. I listened to you.
I thought it would be nice.
Sounds romantic.
She's really
Where'd
like
he
just
find you?
completely browbeating you, like in front of everybody, like just the whole time.
Sigurd's going to try to interrupt kind of Peacemaker and kind of go, oh, blessings on the young one. How delightful. And kind of waiting to see if that kind of breaks the...
She'll just snort.
The tension a little bit.
And just laugh and snort. Thank you.
Oh. So, is anybody thirsty or hungry?
Oh, am I supposed
I
to
could
make
take a
something?
drink.
Is that what I'm supposed to do? Is that what good wives do?
I'm okay.
Let me
Never
give
mind.
that, ma'am.
Yeah,
Tea,
I'll give a hand.
perhaps? Kitchen this way.
So you all go ahead and start navigating as best you can.
Run away.
Dogmoore
hide.
to himself out.
But yeah, like, so as you all do your best to embarrassingly find something else to occupy your attention, so yeah, she'll pull you aside, she'll complain to you, Caius, she'll tell you about the baby, and like
take 2 mental conditions.
yeah, and yeah.
Probably.
But yeah, other than that, like, she eventually calms down, and she's not too open with all of you, but I think at this point she would probably be aware that all of you have the sight. So yeah, she's not, like, I guess you probably have some sort of correspondence at some point, Caius. So that's more than likely she's aware of this. But if anybody wants to, other than Caius, obviously, you can roll a learning test if you want. Because all of you would know at this point, like, this is strange. Like, this is really strange.
Yeah.
Like, she's walking.
Absolutely.
She's like walking past like flowers, and they're like moving for her and everything.
I got 2 successes on my 2 dice that I rolled.
Okay.
I got no successes on my poop load of dice that I rolled.
Not only would you be able to identify.
What check is this?
It's just a learning test.
Learning.
I'm busy finding tea. I may need to go out
true.
of the building to find the tea.
I might have to run back to town. Okay, so we've got so Sigrid and Dogmoore, and maybe that makes the most sense because you're the most local, other than Caius, is that you would know that she is what's called a woodwife, kind of a fayish creature, female, human voice. She kind of just can show herself in a variety of different ways, sometimes in the form that you see, sometimes in others. You two probably would have heard some kind of rumors about the very forest, and things are starting to click, maybe. Like, you've probably heard a little bit about, okay, well, that's right, that forest does have this sort of strange reputation about it. And then going through some of the annals of Castle Gillenkritz, and you start like reading about these women who live out in the forest and sort of protect the forest. And it sort of like dawns on you, like 2 and 2 comes together, and like clearly this has to be
this is that.
Yeah. So Sigrid, you got 2 successes. So do you want to know how to kill her? Because I could give you that information.
Just in case, if Caius is not in the room.
No. Oh wow. But no. But I think, yeah, all of you would know something's kind of up. She's got a little bit of an aura about her. So Caius, one of the things I asked you, Jeremy, is like, what was the thing about her that, like, in this form that's just a little bit different? Because she looks like a human woman, but there's something about her that's just a little bit different. What would that be?
I would say, like, sometimes you sometimes see artists will do poison eye where you see just like a little bit of like a little bark in certain spots on the skin, like on the back or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's somewhat hideable, but it's there.
Yeah. So when she's whipping her head around angrily, looking at different people who are going through her things, you can probably see as the hair kind of weaves past, like there's chunks of bark on the back of her neck and maybe at certain parts on her arm or something like that. It's definitely real. All of you are probably aware enough to see it at some point, and a few of you can probably put 2 and 2 together over what that means. Something Caius maybe been holding out on you all. But the rest of the night is fine. It's a little awkward for everybody, but yeah, you're eventually put into your separate rooms, and you can easily get some rest without without a whole lot of effort. Unless there's something else anyone wants to do, we can go ahead and fast forward to morning.
I'm just gonna stay away from the, the tongue lashing that Caius is getting. So I'm cool with a jump to morning.
Okay, so we'll say like every now and then throughout the night, you probably hear her raised voice again, as if she's saying something to Caius. But Caius, she does mention more than once that the woman who was supposed to be like there to go she was basically there to go to and from town, because she would not go to town. There's no way Aina would go to the town. She'll live in the house if it's by the forest, but going into town is probably not something she would be willing to do. Has not been around for a few days, and you obviously would know her name, so let me get that for you. I just kind of put one together. Miriam, but she's been missing. And you'll also hear like from your wife that it's things have been strangely unsettling of late, and she's blaming it on like, she's like, it might be my state, but I sense there's something foreign in the area, and she has great sensitivity to that kind of thing. So if she's saying that, meaning like there's something in the area that's not common, like not usual, like an outside thing, something.
Maybe the lake.
Unlikely that she would probably extend that far. Her domain is probably more around the forest and maybe the immediate foothills and such, but probably
maybe not fish people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something's not quite sitting with her, and she's a little bit unsettled. It's one of the reasons why she's been walking around in her old lady form, because it's a little bit scary when people first see it. But yeah, she mentions that to you.
I mean, I'll look into Miriam, and if you don't feel safe here, I don't want you to be somewhere you're not safe.
She says, well, if you're going to stay for a while, then I suppose I could stay here. But otherwise, I'm going to go where I feel more comfortable.
That makes sense.
Okay. So morning comes.
Gonna go stay with her parents.
Morning comes. You all are, you get some food and whatnot, and you have the day to set out and do what you like.
You lose a condition once you've rested?
No. The healing thing, Sigrid is probably the best to do the mental conditions, and then Yürgan is probably the best to do that. But it takes time to kind of like, if you're exhausted, you would need to take like a day off, basically.
We definitely have a mold problem in the castle, I believe.
So
I already got 3 conditions, so it's going to be great.
Yep. I feel like I'm doing the whole peril thing in Zweihander, just dropping a bunch of peril, and then I'm going to spring the trap, and it's going to be too late at that point.
Yeah.
Good.
What's the plan? It's a beautiful spring day, once again. You hear an abundance of birds when you all wake up at dawn, as the sun kind of comes in and just doesn't seem to want to wake you. Day is yours to do with as you please.
I don't know. I'm still kind of interested to go maybe talk to the people from the company at the camp, and then maybe see if we can talk the constable into letting us on the boat.
Okay. And you all know that it's just north. The barge itself is just north of the of town. So if you head back to Christenham, just go up the coast of the lake, and you'll eventually see it. Oh, you won't miss it.
Do I know where Miriam was supposed to go to?
Likely just a grocer or something in town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Might be worth investigating on that lead a little bit too.
Okay. And when you all depart, she'll kind of give you a stern look, Caius, but she'll give you a little peck on the cheek or something, and then she'll wander off into the back and disappear into the forest. And
I may recommend as we walk that we do sort of a peaceful walk and take in nature, that we could do sort of like a rest scene to get rid of 2 mental conditions.
okay, that sounds reasonable. Do you got a roll for that?
It just says describe a scene together where 1 or several PCs to recover from 2 conditions once per day.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
So we are
Delightful.
mindfully taking in the forest
Mhm.
and the birds and
Sounds of the nature.
That sounds reasonable.
Exactly.
It's not nighttime and there's not spooky howls and animals and such, so this makes sense. Sure. Okay.
We're actually having our Disney moment here.
After
yes.
after
It's-
maybe like a 2-hour walk or so, you taking a little bit extra time. Maybe Caius shows you around a bit before you all leave as part of the relaxation. You probably make it back to Christenham late morning, near noon, and someone wanted to go see the constable. Someone wanted to go see the barge and the people by the barge, and because you know that the company itself sent like representatives, and they're like camping out near the barge as well. And then Caius, did you want to investigate Miriam's disappearance?
Yeah, I would probably at least ask around a bit.
Okay. So I'll say that because you're a local, I won't make a roll for this. You just do some basic questioning, and like some people might recognize you a little bit, and when you mention the name, they'll certainly recognize the name. And what Iana said seems to be accurate. Like no one's really seen her for a couple days. You know that she has a sister who lives in town. You speak with the sister, and the sister is, I just assumed that she was out at your home, or should I be worried?
My wife hasn't seen her for a couple of days. So possibly. I certainly hope not, but if you can think of anybody or anywhere that might be a point of contact for it, it'd probably be worth checking.
So, I mean, she gives you a name or two of other friends, and you chase those leads down, and they also haven't seen her.
Question, I guess, then is where was?
Are we
she
able to
last?
put together
Yeah,
who the last person?
The last person that, what it sounds
Saw
like
her.
when you is Ina, Caius' wife.
Wonder if there is something in the forest then?
At that time, was she coming to see us then? Is that right?
This would have been a couple days ago, so this was before you all. This before you guys came here.
So what is the timing of the last time she was seen in the shipwreck?
Last time she was seen was before the shipwreck. Doesn't seem to line up too perfectly or anything like that. No.
Okay.
She's turned into a forest snack.
Maybe it's normally not really like that out there. I maybe invited you under awkward circumstances, but so how about those sea dogs?
How about them?
So Anders, you said did you want to see the constable again, or do you just want to go straight up to the barge?
It's probably better to ask the constable for assistance rather than just trying to sneak on in.
Is anybody else looking to go talk to the constable? Because the idea is you're trying to get permission, right? You're trying to get permission to get on the barge. All right. Gunner's going. Anders, anybody else wants to be part of this scene?
Permission first, forgiveness later.
Yeah, I mean, if she doesn't give us permission, we'll just sneak on.
Sure,
but
of course. Okay.
There's less jail time if we get permission first.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So Anders and Gunner, anybody else want to go and be part of that scene?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Dogmoore and Yürgan, and then
We'll
Sigrid
we'll
and
just
Caius are
gang up on
maybe
it.
asking questions about Miriam somewhere.
Sure. Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So the four of you go to the jail once more. The town is much busier. Obviously, it's daytime. You see people going about their every day. Plenty of boats that are out in the water that you can see from a distance because you're a little elevated over the lake itself. And when you get over to the jail cell, as you go to open the door opens out, and you can see, like you almost bump into the deputy who just, nods his head and holds the door open for you, and you go inside, and you can see clearly exhausted Wilhelmina. She if she slept last night, it was a couple hours. She's wearing the same clothes she wore the night before, and she's got she's got like a plate of food nearby that likely came from the floundering lad, and you can see that the Gosta Helkvist is still in the jail cell, back to his familiar corner, kind of huddling. When she sees you all walk in, she recognizes Anders, and she just is kind of curious. Hey, Dogmoore, can you roll a manipulation test?
Sure. Do I get the benefit of my disguise for this?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, 1 success.
All right. So this is going to be against observation. 1 second. So.
Ooh. If I need to push that.
You can make that choice after I roll, I'll say. All right, so let me roll this. Sorry. All right. So you can push if you want. But she's got 2.
Probably worth it to push it.
Okay.
There we go.
So
Wow.
go ahead and take a mental condition for that, obviously for pushing it. But you can see as you walk in, Dogmoore, her head just like kind of looks at you. She turns over and she kind of squints, and as if she's thinking something, considering something. But then she kind of shakes her head. She's like, "I'm seeing things." And then she looks over at Anders and asks, "What is it this morning?"
Good morning. Sadly, it looks like you were not able to get any rest, but I was actually wanting to get your permission on something.
On what?
We, would like permission to investigate the boat.
On what ground?
Well, for me, it's purely academic. I am a professor at the college in town. I don't remember, in Uppsala.
Yeah, just Uppsala University or University.
Yeah,
of Uppsala,
I am. I'm a professor at Uppsala University, and I do study all sorts of folklore, urban legends, and the circumstances around this boat wreck are by no means supernatural in any form, but they do definitely strike the imagination. And it would be great research for a book that I'm working on to be able to actually go aboard and look at these things and, be able to compare real world similarities between what's written in legend and folklore.
She's got a very skeptical look on her face.
Yeah, I understand. I would like to point to my colleague here.
I bring a business card out and say, ma'am, if I may introduce myself, I am an investigator. I have worked for many underwriting companies. So if there is any question about liability or insurance on the vessel, I would like to offer my services completely free to help my friend here with his writing. I can give you an invaluable assistance to help with any litigation that might be pending.
The skeptical look kind of starts to fade a bit. She looks a little confused, but she looks at your card. She listens to what you're saying. She seems to be getting a little bit more swayed. Does anybody else want to pitch in an idea here? Yürgan or Dogmoore?
Probably Yürgan with his medical expertise might be better off. Dogmoore. I track things. Yeah.
What is she? She seems skeptical on like why we would want to.
Yeah, I mean, because you're just a bunch of random people who just showed up and said, "Can we go on this boat where there's a crime scene?
Can we go on the murder boat?
Yeah,
please?
can we go on the
Can we
murder
go
boat?
on the murder boat?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, when Rubitega says it, it's different.
A bunch of. I mean, these people. Yes, they're all investigators. I don't know if they're adventurers in this game. I think they're investigators, but
Investigators.
Yeah.
We're the Scooby Gang here.
you are the
Dogmoore
Scooby Gang.
Dogmoore. Basically Shaggy.
Okay, so
Are you?
Yeah,
a little bit.
like great great grandfather.
Yeah, I
of
think
Shaggy.
so. I think so. Adventurous investigators is good.
Mostly in the Scooby avenue of Shaggy.
Investigatorial adventurers. No, that sounds awful. Yürgan, did you want to add anything?
You just try and like repeat,
Kind
be
of
like
throw
you
it
get spin in the
out.
background, just like that's
Okay.
that's what he's working on.
I'll let so Gunnar or Anders, one of you can make the roll, and then you can take an assist from. I'll give you like a +2 mod for the other. So whoever
Yep.
would do better. It's a manipulation test, is what I'm like.
Manipulation. That is going to be a 6 for me. What about you, Gunnar?
Same.
Okay.
I think you should do it and us help
Yeah.
since you spoke first, and we're just kind of supporting you being a writer and how we could help.
Yeah.
You know.
+2 because I think Gunnar had a kind of
That is with the +2. So I
Okay.
got 1 success.
and that'll be enough. She'll really think about it. She's like, I really need to get some sleep because I actually I'm glad you've mentioned this, Mr. Gunnar. There's been some suggestion that this is all some kind of elaborate hoax by Helkvist to make some sort of claim, but it doesn't really make any sense considering how the cargo holds are still full. But if you could, yes,
I will render you a detailed report of what is found.
yes, thank you. And Professor, if you could keep this, as the kids say, on the down low, as this is still an investigation.
Absolutely.
And there-
The utmost discretion, and I will trust my dear friend Gunnar here to make sure that my personal investigation does not do anything to tamper or,
Mhm.
put your investigation in any form of jeopardy.
and she'll write it.
Indeed, discreet is on the business card.
She looks at it again.
Mhm.
Oh, it is. I really like the raised lettering on this. This is very, very tasteful. But she writes out a little note. Give this to my deputy when you arrive at the site, and he'll allow you through. So she hands it over to Gunnar, and yeah, you have permission to investigate and go on the barge.
Nice.
Hooray.
All right. So, what else you want to do in town before you head out?
I feel like we're fairly well supplied.
And we got a feel for what the townsfolk felt about things last night.
Yeah, from what you
Yeah.
can tell, folks are in a good mood around here. Like, they don't no one seems to be too upset about it. Like, there's a couple people it's kind of creepy. Like, it's definitely creepy, but it's also, it is what it is, and people are kind of out of their homes and doing their thing.
Disassociated from them a bit
They're-
also.
There was mention of the people who discovered it were really creeped out, and that's how the rumors got started about the bloody scene and all that kind of stuff, which is, Wilhelmina has been trying to tamp down, but not successfully, considering she wasn't the first to inspect the barge. But it doesn't seem like anyone's really too concerned.
So on that real quick, she wasn't the first to inspect the barge. Do we know who was?
If you ask her, she will gladly tell you that there was a man and his children, a man by the name of Frederick Lind. So he was just a townsfolk, nothing special, and him and his children were going for a walk along the ocean shore, along the lake shore. skipping rocks and such, and they're the first ones to have noticed it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, with that specific information, I would be interested in talking to him as well.
Okay. She'll direct you to a specific house, kind of on the northeast side of town, where you can find him. And then Caius and Sigrid, was there anything in particular that you thought of that you wanted to do on the Miriam angle?
So we talked to her sister.
A few different friends.
No, none of them recall seeing her. Like, it's been at least a week since they've seen her. But that's not, I mean, like, the sister wasn't alarmed at all until you said something.
Now she is.
Yeah, now she's like freaking out a bit.
Yeah. Would want to nose around a little bit to see if anyone else has gone missing recently.
Okay.
Is there anyone else kind of unaccounted for?
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and just roll say a manipulation.
Any missing dogs?
Any missing dogs? It's the exact same adventure.
Sorry, what am I rolling?
Go ahead and roll manipulation. It's fine.
It's water pigs.
Oh my god.
Every single mystery, it's a different kind of pig. That's what ties it all together.
That'd be wonderful.
Two successes.
You go.
The sky pigs are the worst.
I mean, now it's gonna be that. You ask around.
That's got to be the final one when pigs fly. Last one.
Yeah.
You ask around, and
That was good.
there are. I mean, if this were on the Goodman game stream on Saturdays, then that would have been some fleeting luck, I think. But it's not. So
I can't get nothing.
too bad. It's just wasted. But you ask around, and no missing people at all, actually. There's the last crime there ever was like two stokes got mad at each other when they were trying to, get their boats untied and get out into the lake faster, and one of them just cut in line. That's the last thing they had. It was close. People fought each other, here and there, but that's it. That's fine. And then
disagreement.
Right?
Yeah.
Drama.
And that's
Like we've upped the ante a little bit.
Yeah, everything seems fine. And if you ask at all specifically about the forest to the east and the manor, like, people kind of like, no, we don't. No one really goes out there. It's kind of a strange place. There's a lovely home out there I can see from a distance, but now I get the heebie-jeebies whenever I get close to the forest. I get the willies. The jeepers creepers. All those types of wholesome references to being afraid.
Sure.
All very serious conditions.
Every single one.
Super serious.
Are there wolves out that way?
No, we don't get wolves. No.
And
they actually start thinking like, yes, we don't get wolves. Like, they kind of think about that sort of strangely, like, I've never really thought about it too much. But also, like, they're in the town, so it might be different people a little bit further out. But no, yeah. So I would say you would know that. No, this is definitely out of the norm. All right.
Anything, Caius?
Usually, whenever I'm stumped, I'll sit and write for a spell.
Okay. If you,
I'm assuming it's something to do with the wolf, but yeah, I'll probably give that a try. Do some automatic writing.
Okay. I think you got to do a roll for that. I don't remember.
I do a roll. It's based off inspiration.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Before he does this, can I bless him?
If he allows it, yeah. I don't see why not.
What's that do?
It gives you a
+2
+2 to a test of your choice.
Ooh, well, yes, thank you.
Nice.
I really appreciate that, Sigrid. Thank you.
Okay. As you begin kind of writing out, you have this like kind of long, couple of minutes or so as you kind of go into your little trance. Sigrid's kind of keeping an eye at you. Maybe you found a bench down by the docks to do this or something. When you stop, and you look back over what you wrote, it is surprisingly coherent, and it seems to sort of, it almost seems like a children's rhyme, like over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go. And you start realizing it's like, it's describing various landmarks and such that you recall in your forest, like in the forest that you live by. I'm like, okay, I know that place. Like, oh, okay, that the crooked tree, or that winding brook, or all these different places, and like it's almost like it's like instructions. So, if you decide to explore, you might be able to get a fairly high bonus to looking later if you wanted.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, but it's like a little limerick. It's really great.
I'll also save it that way for later too.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Secret. That was incredibly helpful. I'm not sure exactly where this would take us, but it's clearly leading us somewhere.
It's like a little treasure map, and maybe X marks the spot at the end.
Yeah, I mean, and it's strange it would be coherent, but I suppose things do work a little bit differently there. So what doesn't make sense here maybe makes sense for there. Okay, this is good. I like this.
I didn't catch that. Did it seem like the spots would line up? Were there any that didn't seem to flow from one spot to the next?
Caius, you wouldn't, I mean, like, you don't think so? It's definitely something you would want to look to be sure, but you don't think so. You don't know the forest as well as Aina does, obviously, but you've been in it plenty of times, and yeah, there's certain things that certainly stand out to you, and it doesn't seem erratic. It definitely seems like it's in a specific order. It's procedural in some way.
Okay. I'll definitely keep that in heart.
Okay. And by this point, they're done with their conversation with Wilhelmina, and all of you meet up. And do we go to the barge, or is there other things that you want to accomplish here?
We got a free pass to the murder boat.
We do. I would like to. I don't know. I would defer to Gunnar on this. Would it be worthwhile to talk to Frederick Lind to see maybe what items he noticed, and then go see if we notice those as well, or go see what we notice on the barge and then talk to Frederick Lind for a...
I think if we speak to him first, we'll be predisposed to noticing certain things. Let's get our own impressions first.
Yeah, I'll follow that advice. Yeah, I'll definitely say to the barge.
Okay. So you head out of town, up the road, up the kind of a lakeshore path a bit. And it's not too far. I mean, it's maybe a 20-minute walk north of town, and you can see the barge from a distance run aground. It's not an enormous boat, so when we say barge, it's more like a river barge. And it's certainly run aground and is sort of tipped over on its side a bit, so it's not the easiest thing to move around in. But you also notice two distinct groups of people. One of whom is up on a ridge by a handful of trees. They got a little campfire going. There's a few tents, a couple wagons, and you can see there's a handful of folks there where you would presume are likely the representatives of kind of the Helkfist company. And then you can see down on down by the shore, closer to the barge, there are a handful of kind of locals. You see the same man that you saw when you were leaving. When you were entering, the jail, and he was leaving, which you presume is the deputy. You see him down there as well. A couple of them have guns, and so you can see like there's sort of a kind of a tense standoff here as the Helkfist crew, like the people are kind of up on the ridge. But yeah, you approach from a distance. What do y'all want to do?
Approach the deputy then.
Okay, so you walk right, you kind of bypass the Helkfist company, and you find a little path going down to the shoreline. And I mean, before you even get close, he's already kind of holding up his hand, like telling you no, and then
I'll produce the documents.
He goes and he takes a look at this, and he's got a well, all right. Okay. I guess so. If she wants you on there, I guess that's fine. Be careful. It's floor's a little crooked and such. We're not responsible for any bumps and bruises you get on there, and no taking anything. Okay, if you no absconding with evidence, anything like.
Only notes, my good man. Only notes.
All right, and he sees like all six. He's like, all six here.
Yes, we each have our specialties.
I have a camera.
He looks aren't you wealthy?
I carry the extra paper.
Yes. Try to predict the diggies.
They look over at Yürgan, who says, "I carry the papers." Like, good for you. So Dogmoore, this guy kind of like side eyes you a little bit too, but sort of shakes it off. Yeah, looks like your disguise seems to be holding. But
Wonderful.
They definitely. They're definitely taking some second looks at you every now and then. Old man, bunch of dogs. That's weird. Like, okay. But yeah, you all are able to head out and they part ways, and they've got like a little makeshift ladder leaned against it, or not a makeshift ladder, an actual ladder leaned against it. That's like a makeshift staircase that lets you to get up there. But you got to be careful up here, as everything's a little tilted. But you all climb up. The deck itself runs a few dozen feet in length, and you can see that there is kind of a small raised kind of cabin area on the deck itself. Then there's various lines and other tools and stuff that have scattered. There's a couple sections where a bunch of crates and barrels that were strapped down on the deck itself. Some of them are surprisingly still strapped down. Others have crashed completely and they're like tumbled on the bottom side of the barge itself. There is a small staircase or stairs that go like a hatch that goes down into the hold. Immediately you can see the signs of they weren't kidding. There's blood. Like dried blood, and it's brown, and it's almost kind of blending in some cases, but you don't have to roll to see blood. Like you can, and there's a significant amount. So where would you like to go, and what would you like to look for?
I'm kind of curious in just like the general way the ship's poised on the shoreline. Does it look like it ran like perpendicular into it, or just kind of veered off course maybe a little bit? And
it definitely looks it's not perfectly perpendicular, but it definitely looks like it just kind of kept going in a direction and there was no one around to steer it, and it just kind of grinded into the shallower waters and kept going until it didn't.
So yeah, I want to investigate the area to get an understanding of what happened here.
Okay. Do you got to do a roll for that? Is that a what's it called?
It's investigation. It's just the skill. Yeah. If I do have a talent if I get multiple successes, but let us see first.
Go right ahead.
You did. I would be kind of down for helping out Gunner. Just following him around and seeing what he finds.
Sure. Take a mod. Take a +1 mod to your roll, Gunner. If Anders is kind of following you around.
Sure. Actually, I get another one from another talent I have, but Give me a second. I'm sorry. I just got dumped out of the tabletop.
No worries. They're all cumulative. The mods are all cumulative. So like you just keep adding dice. Rusty, are you guys doing anything in particular?
I might just kind of have my dogs sniff around and just see if I notice them finding anything of interest to them.
I'll say this. You start to do that at the base of the ladder that goes up, and they are immediately agitated. And they're sniffing about. Why don't you, while you're down here, go ahead and roll an investigation test, and I'll give you a +1 because your dogs are kind of agitated.
All right.
Yeah. So I killed that with a 4, 4 successes. So I definitely want to bring into my talent Sixth Sense. When you make an investigation test, you may spend extra successes to learn if a Vaesen has been in the area, gain more or less vague impressions of what kind of Vaesen it is, and find out if magic has been used here.
Okay. Sure. So you don't get the sense that magic was directly used here, but there most certainly was a Vaesen. That you're undoubtedly sure of. You as you're looking around, you can see that there are significant claw marks in various sections. When you look at them, they don't look too enormous, but they're most certainly claws. You can see that a few like there's certain panels and such that have kind of been ripped off, suggesting a fairly strong individual. Like when you start to pry, like there's no way a human would be able to do this. So most certainly a Vaesen is involved. When you as you're looking, you do notice as you're moving around and kind of peeking behind some of the other barrels and such, you notice like kind of clumps of fur.
I will take my tweezers for a sample, and I'll invite our cameraman to take pictures of the claw marks, which I'll lay my pipe down for a size reference.
Okay, bandana for scale. So you notice like clumps of fur, and as you're looking at some of those claws, you notice that there is like a small, maybe 2.5 to 3 inches long, kind of curled, like actual tip of a claw that they didn't notice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Grab that out of there too. Stick it in a little bag.
And what else do you get with your talent? Just want to make sure.
Well, it says when making the investigation tests, learn if a Vaesen has been in the area, gain more or less vague impressions of what kind of Vaesen it is, and find out if magic has been used here. So what kind of Vaesen it is.
You sadly can rule out Dogmoore's fish people theory.
Or pigfish.
And pigfish. And looking at the fur, this is
sea boar.
This is not a flying pig, sadly. But now I really want to do a flying pig mystery. You would, I think, with 4 successes, end your history, and looking at this claw, can you roll go ahead and roll a fear test.
Am I going to werewolf? Am I just going right to werewolf?
I think you're going to that with 4 successes. Roll a little fear test, since this is pull back. This is sort of like traumatic for you, I would say, a little bit. So
I failed that.
Okay. So I will
take frightened.
Okay. So as you're doing so, like you start picking up the claw, and you can see your hand maybe starts to shake a little bit as you begin piecing things together. And I think you would
not again.
Yeah. This is definitely something lycanthropic, like
give me a second.
Probably.
You're back.
Yeah, no problem, Dan. Okay.
Yeah, so whoever's standing by will hear me mutter, "Not again." I believe we have lycanthrope activity.
Okay.
Oh, that's not great at all.
No, it's not. And you know what? There's 4 successes. Like, I feel like I got to give you a lot for this. If you're spending time, you mentioned putting down your pipe for measurements and such. When you start looking at some of the different claw marks, there's different radiuses between the claws. There's more than one.
More than one. Oh, yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So I think Dan pushed his roll and was successful. I'll wait for him to get back so I can give him what he got for that. But what else are the rest of you doing? Like, that Gunnar just got a ton. Like, he could definitely piece a lot of this together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing outside of what already Gunnar did, but the thought I'm currently having is like, okay, lycanthropes, that's bad.
A pack.
Maybe
a pack.
A pack. Well, that was my second statement. It's like, maybe it's the man who survived, but if it's a pack, then it's not just him. That's bad.
I think it gives us some more pointed questions to give to the survivor on stuff that he might have seen. I know we heard wolves, and we hadn't heard those before, or that was very uncommon for the area. Maybe seeing if there's any like new people to the area, new groups that have recently moved here. Stand out.
Dan, you pushed your roll. Is that right?
I sure did, because I'm a sucker for.
You're so fun to play with. You're just like, just screw it. Like, I like it. I just like your attitude. But you push it, you got 2 successes, and you're going to notice as you're down here, while Gunnar and Anders and Caius and everybody else is up and looking at the various spots, you notice a few things along the side of the barge, actually. You notice there's a lot of, there's like kind of, it definitely looks like there's like some damage on the side.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't look like damage that might have been done by, this crash, like because this is sort of like the good side. And when you're looking at the damage, it's more like there's like all these puncture marks in the side, as if maybe someone or something kind of climbed up. And you notice in the sand, because you're kind of on, it's like a sandy, like a little sandy area. The water occasionally comes up and hits your feet, but not really. You can see half buried in the sand, kind of almost underneath the boat where it's tipping. And there's like a couple rocks in the way. It's easy to miss. You see something kind of glittery. You pick it up, and it's like a little hook, like a little kind of grappling hook, and there's like a torn rope. You would probably conclude that like maybe it was something used to kind of climb up. It doesn't look like a fishing hook. It's too big. It looks more like something someone would use to climb.
As an aid for climbing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting.
And then and then the rest of them got a bunch of info too. I don't know if you heard all of it, but
a good amount of it.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to look for here on the barge? I mean, you guys got a lot.
So from a timeline of information, someone found the boat and found that there was a bunch of blood. So we're not necessarily sure if the badness that happened on the boat happened while it was out or after it crashed.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it crashed. And the logic I would jump to is the crew was murdered, with Dogmoore's grappling hook and marks on the side. They boarded the ship, killed everyone on board, abandoned the boat, and then left.
So,
or the crew themselves transformed, perhaps. Explain the wreck. I mean, were bodies found? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Bodies were not found, actually.
Yeah. If this was a gore fest, and the lycanthropes are not known to be clean about their kills, surely they would have found some scrap of cloth, a bit of flesh, something. But yet none of that seems present. There's blood, though, right?
Yes, there's blood. It's all dried at this point, but there's a ton of it. There's a ton of it.
But there's no flesh. There was no report of bodies. We're not seeing scraps of clothing.
You do see some scraps of like clothing and cloth and whatnot, but you don't see any signs of any kind of body parts or anything like that flying around now. Who wants to do the learning test on the werewolf? And only one person can do this. And
got it.
So it'll basically get you. This is like this is to establish what the party kind of knows about werewolves, and so
got 7.
Our scholar, perhaps.
Well, if it's logic and learning, that's going to be an 8 for me.
Yeah, I've got a 7. Go for it.
Yeah, 1.
Okay. All right. So, do you want to put? Are you satisfied with that? Do you want to push it? I mean, you have to take a mental condition if you want. But are you okay with 1?
Well, since you ask it like that,
it's a loaded question.
Yeah,
are you sure you want to just take 1?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead. Now, if we push this, do I keep the 1 and then add any additional successes?
Yeah,
or do I just take the second?
Does it automatically?
You just hit the push button, and it'll add the extra. It'll add it together already.
It's up at the top of your character sheet.
Yeah, in the window.
Push. Yeah, you know what? I'll go ahead and push it.
Go for it. So you
It's
take.
so convenient and easy.
Okay, so you got an extra
didn't even hide to
success.
it.
So 2 total.
Yeah.
So you go ahead and you can take your mental condition whatever you want.
Like frightened.
All right, so you would know a few things about werewolves in that, first of all, they're not just wolves. Werewolves is sort of the more common moniker, but the idea is that they are shapeshifters of some kind, and it's a human that can transform into another animal of some kind, like a humanoid bestial creature. And unlike other Vaesen, which there's Vaesen like Caius's wife, fairies, even trolls and giants, like these, it's different for them. Most Vaesen, they're not, outright bloodthirsty murderers. A lot of the times it's just, whatever. But werewolves, on the other hand, depending on a few different factors, they might be, because sometimes werewolves can control their transformation, and those that can usually are doing so for reasons because they get off on like the violence they get from it. Others, it's they don't have control over it, right? Like there's different ways, there's different means by which that curse can come to you. So those are the things you would get. You would know that you would know that it could be a variety of different animals. You would know that there's different kinds of ways in which a werewolf shifts. And yeah, with only 2 though, I can't give you those other pieces. That's a shame. Oh, there's some really good things that you probably would have wanted to know.
Triple push.
You know that many werewolves are driven by an urge to stalk and frighten their prey. And even though they, like many Vaesen, have the ability to just be invisible, they actually like to show themselves because they feel like it actually makes they could almost like taste the fear of those that they're scaring. Yeah.
Delicious fear.
Oh, it's a shame. If you would have gotten 3, I could have given you such an important nugget, but I can't. Sorry. It's the rules.
Is there a third push?
Sorry, there is not. It's okay.
Perhaps we can find some additional information later.
You'll just have to learn it the hard way. It's okay.
Oh, as it murders us?
Probably.
Yeah.
Hey, there's that thing. Would have been nice to know.
All right. like this is the moment right here. All
where
right.
Dogmoore turns into Were-Dog more.
All right. That is there anything else
Awesome.
you're looking for on the barge?
Can we check the cargo?
Sure. Yeah, you go down. It's mostly still intact. It's all been fairly well battened down. You've been told that this is mostly just like building materials and whatnot, like raw ores and whatnot. And
I would like to verify that with my own eyes.
yeah, you open some crates, and that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Boring.
Yeah, it's very boring.
We did find a claw, right?
Yes.
A nail.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can do a little sniffing with that and see if the dogs can take us anywhere or not, perhaps.
We have fur as well. So
even
we have something for scent.
Yeah.
So we're just going to just follow a pack of these.
Yes, with a pack of our own dogs.
Yes, they're lovely dogs.
Dogmoore is going to
werewolves.
follow them. That's what he does. He does it well.
what I
He goes
do.
off by himself.
Has anybody checked the what would it be? The bridge, the
Yeah, there's like a little captain's kind of cabin up
Yeah.
at the top. No one's
So-
checked that yet.
let's check that out. It did lose control. The ship did breach, so something must have happened in that control room.
Yeah.
Right.
Let us have a look.
So you go in there and you find kind of the same stuff you've seen before, like claws and blood, and definitely seems like some of the some of like the various instruments have been just beaten up by whatever kind of carnage went down here. You would also notice that there's like bullet holes in various places in here as well. You can see, and when you go up to some of them, you can see that there's bullets that are buried deep into and you can kind of carve one out. It just looks like a normal bullet, nothing special, but there's bullets all over the place. You look around, you don't find a gun, but you certainly see you certainly see some bullet wounds. You notice that there is a chair that's been tipped over, and when you look at that carefully, you can see that there's a couple faint bullets that are in the padding, and there's definitely a lot of blood on it, suggesting it might have been like a through and through, like someone shot somebody in the chest and it kind of came out. You also notice, as you're looking around in this room, that there's a small little hidden compartment that when you look over, it's just big enough maybe for one person to hide in. It's probably this tiny little thing. You would imagine that might be where Gusta had been hiding out.
I think
It had been found by the officers, like it's open.
It's open,
right?
yes, yeah, it's open.
Curious what the state of the inside of that is.
You look inside, and there's definitely a very, very strong smell of old urine in here, for sure.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Just not that it's a bloody mess inside or anything.
No, looks like there's a little bit of blood, but it looks like they're probably from his fingers as he was like kind of closing up certain panels or something like that.
Sure.
Claw marks.
Just on the speculation
on the inside, no.
that something happened to him and he's somehow unnaturally healthy from it.
Mm-hmm. No, you don't see anything like that. No.
Do we know that he was shot?
No, he wasn't. He was.
Seems quite fine.
That's what I thought.
Surface abrasions and bruises and things like that, but nothing terrible. Yeah, I mean, you saw him. He looked fine.
Yeah, I was like, did I miss that detail? Okay.
You did not.
I'd still very much like to let the dogs all get a nose of that further.
Okay.
Whether we're following it or not, just let them at least smell it so they can.
Okay.
Have smelled it.
You take the tuft of fur and you take the claw and you smell you let them get a nice good scent of it. They kind of bark a bit. They look a little confused. They kind of move around in circles. Like they definitely are not going back to shore. It looks like they just like they're excited around the general boat area, but it looks like they can't pick up a scent that leads away from shore. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like they're not tugging you in any specific direction.
That's fine. At least they've had a chance to smell it. So perhaps if we encounter it further down the road.
Right. But I do want to point out, like, that is like something to learn. Like there was no trail leading away from the crash for them to follow.
It seems like they might have been departed from it before it crashed.
Exactly.
So that's something.
Yeah, that helps to confirm the timeline.
Okay. I think you've seen the whole ship at this point. Did you look at the outside, looked at the hold, looked at the deck, looked at the little captain area, bridge area?
Is there any smuggler's compartment in the cargo hold?
No, there's compartments and things like that, but it's, holding more, it's probably for more valuable or more, cargo that might more easily break, but you go through it. And again, nothing seems out of the ordinary with any of the cargo. Like you go through it all. There's not like guns hidden at the bottom of these crates. Right. Like you dig through a couple and like you don't, it all seems.
There's no panel under the floor where the droids are hiding.
No, there's not. But they all have the kind of stamp of the Helkvist Hauling Company. So it's theirs, at least on the surface. So, all right. Anything else? You guys have probably been at this for maybe an hour.
Is there what would you call it? A rescue boat, a smaller boat that's tied to the side in case something goes wrong?
You don't see one.
Okay. Is there moors for it? Like are the arms and the pulleys set up for one?
No, there's this. It's not that big of a boat.
Okay.
But yeah, no.
Does the rest of the shore around here seem fairly, approachable, or is there any I know sometimes like the lakes have really rough edges and most of it, and there's only like a few shores. Is it generally speaking kind of nice along the edge, or is there maybe only a couple places where you might come and go from the water?
There's some patchy bits of sand, and there's also patchy bits of rock. So it was like a flip of the coin whether it would have hit like a big chunk of rock head on, or happened to hit a more of a sandy area.
Okay.
And you know that like about a mile or so to the south is the docks. Like the docks for Kristenham are, and you're familiar with Karlstad, aren't as big and robust as Karlstad, but they definitely could take this boat if needed. This is a little bit bigger than what they probably have, but they could probably do it. The waters are deep enough near town.
I was just trying to think if there's like a limited couple of places where our werewolf people might be coming and going from the water. If we could narrow down a couple places to try and track them from, but if it's not very consistent, then that's probably not easily done.
All right. Anything else here?
I think I'm out of ideas.
What kind of ship is this? Is this a flat bottom meant for shallows, or is this a keeled ship that's meant for deeper waters?
It's more flat bottom. Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
This is probably a ship that kind of transports up and down rivers or
It's a
canals.
riverboat.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it a paddle boat, or what is it? Steam driven? What is it?
We're gonna go
style.
We're gonna go steam driven. Yeah, it's
Okay, so it's a paddle boat.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Did we check the cargo hatches, cargo holds? We've done all that.
Yep. Sigurd looked at it. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Yeah. From what you can tell, it doesn't look like they, like if this was, everything seems to be intact still.
Yeah.
Does that mean the point of it was just to come on and shoot somebody? I mean, if nothing's, what's the point then?
So perhaps there was a single target and they eliminated everyone else, so there were no witnesses?
And there was never a body found.
Is there a ship's manifest or a crew list of duties so we can have an idea of how many crew were aboard?
Sure. Yeah. You can go through the captain's area. There's like about 10 people that are listed. It also has like just inventory of what's on here. Sigurd, if you take the time, you can easily start seeing that. If all of you are looking through this, Dogmoore and Sigrid, you would notice a couple names that you're familiar with, actually. It's been a while, but yeah, you recognize like maybe two names from your old days back with the Valhen gang. Likely people that you worked with before. Maybe another name or two might sound vaguely familiar. Like, I think I know that guy. I think I had a beer with him once, but you're not like friends with him. But two people you would recognize for sure.
Sigurd is going to stealthily elbow him. Not necessarily pointing it out to everybody.
Should we do a stealth test for that? No, that's fine.
That's fine. I don't mind.
No, that's all right. Because if you fail, you like bang your elbow against the
No, if I fail, I've like accidentally elbowed Gunner and he's like, what?
Like it wasn't it wasn't
Sorry,
Dogmoore standing next to you, it was Gunner the whole time. You're like, yeah.
Just pass it on to Dogmoore. He'll know.
But at some point, whenever like whoever finds it is done looking at it and you peek at it, you would recognize some names for sure. And you would know that these are people who have worked in some of those dock worker gang style things. Like they get gigs, here and there. And this might have been a gig that they were on.
Okay.
Get a little extra money.
Yep.
Not willing to rule out the regiment yet. It's my side theory.
Mm-hmm.
And do we already know where they were coming from?
What do you mean? Who's they? And
like the ship, like where was the port that it was most recently in?
Okay.
Where did they pull cargo from? Like the manifest should.
It's north. It's north of Karlstad. Hang on. Actually, no. I'm sorry. It's it's a city on the western side of Lake Venern. If I can zoom in big enough on the map, which I don't think I can. Hang on. I have the paper map over here, which is a little easier to see. Vennersborg, which is a city on the southwest, completely on the other side of the lake. So I can kind of ping it for you. So right down there for you on our map.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Excuse me.
And and the manifest, everything there doesn't look like anything's been taken. Like you kind of go
Everything
through.
checks out except for the people.
Yeah, it's.
Are there crew cabins or are there just like hammocks strung
hammocks,
up?
Just hammocks strung
Okay,
up.
so this kind of boat is a hauler, but sometimes haulers will take a passenger. Is there any cabins at all, like even the captain's cabin, if it is the only one?
That is that is the only one. There's like one little cabin, excuse me. But even that just has a hammock, but there's like some space, like a desk and such. One thing I would actually say, I probably should have pointed this out earlier. When you look at the manifest, there's one name on that list that you don't see, and that is Gösta Helkvist. His
Right,
name is
I was
not
curious
on the
about that.
list.
Oh.
So he could have been picked up as a passenger, and therefore there would be no reason for him to be on the rolls. Or he was a stowaway.
And you would know he's like high up, like he's like the Sun VP, and you learned that a little bit when you were doing some research before you left Uppsala. So, yeah.
Or he came on mid journey.
Not to leave.
Looking at the cargo manifest of like what's supposed to be in the holds, does anything stand out as being odd or unusual?
No. It seems all pretty mundane from what you all learned about the company and, what they, import, export, ship, ship. This all seems fairly pedestrian. It's
Okay.
just,
And you said the cargo was untouched, like the crates were not opened?
I mean, a couple were busted open from the crash, but it doesn't look like anything has been actively taken.
Okay.
Sigrid opened a bunch of other stuff too, but yeah.
I'd like to just confirm that, just, like check the lids, just check to see if anything was opened and then re-tapped back down. You can tell by like hammer blows on it that are not consistent, just to see if maybe something was smuggled aboard and taken and re-closed.
Yeah, I mean, other than the ones that Sigrid opened and reclosed, no, everything looks fine. I mean, there are definitely crates that have probably been reused in the past, but no, I mean, nothing seems to be everything looks on the up and up.
I think we may have tapped this resource fully.
Well, I mean, there are some things that come out of that, like the boy's not on the manifest, but it's not something I haven't heard of before, where some cargo ships will take on passengers.
Yeah.
And like Gunnar said, that he wouldn't be on the manifest for that. Or maybe just being the boss's son, he doesn't get put on it.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of reasons why he might not be listed.
The grappling hook indicates it being boarded.
As well as the holes on the side of the ship.
Yep.
So a gang of werewolves or pirates.
And somebody
Or
got
both,
shot.
pirates,
Both.
werewolves.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, somebody got shot.
Yeah. Somebody got
even-
shot dead.
And even the
And there's
person that
no
got
sign of
shot,
a gun.
there's no body of that person either.
Oh, so how many crew members were there? Like, so how many missing people are there?
10?
You're looking for 10. Yeah, it looks to be like 10.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, to have no sign of anything but blood left over and a few scraps of clothing, that's a lot of people to make disappear.
That is. Unless
There's no piles of tightly coiled poop anywhere, is there?
I mean, you've got. That's pretty funny. Yeah, no.
That is. I do have a theory. If they would have just thrown the bodies overboard while they were still out on the lake,
Yeah.
I mean, the bodies probably wouldn't have sank. But
Well,
they
yeah,
would have
which
floated
means they would have
ashore here.
washed ashore, and
Right,
that would have
but-
already been reported.
Maybe.
This is a big lake.
That's true. That's
a very
true.
big
Maybe
lake.
we rent a boat and
binoculars
check.
and hear about.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we rent a small boat and check some of the shoreline.
It's not a bad idea.
I mean, most of this place is not very settled along the banks. Yeah, you're right. The bodies may have washed ashore and no one's noticed by now. Dogmoore, your dogs might be able to pick up the scent of rotting corpses.
Quite possibly.
All right. So
I don't think that they've discovered anything at this point, just from my previous checking. But
you would know that there. I mean, it's definitely reasonable to assume you could get the use of a boat or somebody to take you about if you wanted to from Kristenham. Shouldn't be too difficult.
binoculars.
I actually think that's on the I'm looking at the services and such. I think that's all on there, so like we can figure that out. If that's something you want to do.
Boat rental by hour.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to do on the on the barge itself? I would say at this point you guys have pretty much gotten everything you can get off of this. Not pretty much. You've gotten all that you can get off of this. Yeah, that I can think of. Here it is.
Works for me.
Availability 3 for a boat. Okay. So as you're climbing down, do you tell or give anything to the deputy on your way out?
Absolutely not. They've been unhelpful to us. So.
Okay. All right.
Werewolf pirates.
So you keep everything, and you just
Just in case he decides to search us, I am going to secrete the little bits of tuft and the tooth about myself in a place that he's not likely to find.
Okay.
I'll
Roll.
stick them down my drawers.
Or just use your pipe.
Okay.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I stick the fang up inside the pipe stem, stick the fluff down inside the brim.
And just put it down with some tobacco over the top of it.
He doesn't seem to be too concerned when you all get down. He kind of gives you a once over. He asks you if there's anything, satisfied, just, kind of curious, but not being rude, just sort of assuming that you probably didn't find anything, but he looks at you all. Did you find anything? Anything of interest?
I'm sure nothing more than your fine civil servants have already established. Winning smile.
And he just sort of shrugs like, all right, well, have a good day. We'll be here. And
I'll turn around suddenly and ask, tell me, Constable, has your town had a problem with wild dogs lately?
No wild dogs. No. And he kind of looks down at your dogs like, are they wild?
No. These are good.
Well heeled, I'm afraid. Yes.
Can't say so. No, I think we're not a problem for us.
Very well.
All right. So as you guys are walking up the ramp,
I suspect we're about to get accosted by the company people.
you are in fact accosted by the company people, but not the way you think. As you're walking up, you hear Sigrid. You suddenly hear, Sigrid?
Oh,
Sigrid? Is that you?
No. Then I'll turn around.
no.
That's what she was asking.
and
Right.
and as you walk up and as you turn around, you can see that there is a kind of probably about early 50s, late 40s man that you would know as Joseph Cedar, who was a former member of your Valhun gang. And so he's like, Sigrid, that is you. What? Kind of got a smile on his face. He's definitely got a weathered look to him, like he's been out in the sun a couple days. But he kind of comes up to you and shakes hands or hugs or whatever the two of you would do.
I will be happy to see him.
Okay, yeah, and he's just, I haven't seen you in ages. And then he looks over at Dogmoore really quick.
Hang around at the back.
Kind of looks behind and he sees the dogs. He's like, kind of looks through, and he's gonna pierce through your disguise. Is that you, old man?
And I'm just gonna kind of like
What?
this is
Huh? What's that?
Let's
He
get
looks-
somewhere.
He looks
get
really
somewhere
confused. He looks really
private.
confused. Has no idea what's going on, and he's just like, "Oh, it looks just like dog
Rubitega.
cleaner than dog Rubitega."
Yeah.
Kind of deep.
Now, what brings you here? What brings you here? What
It's on the job. You know?
was this? One of the names that I saw on the?
No.
Just making sure.
And he walked over from that little camp of Helkvist hauling company people that are just kind of waiting until they get.
So I'm gonna kind of dust his jacket, like, oh, you've moved on up in the world since we last ran together.
No, not really. It's just contract work, really. Yeah. Things aren't actually. It's been rough, to be honest. It's been a bit rough, but yeah, it's good to see you. You know, it's been an easy gig here, but it's a boring one, just sitting around. But hey,
So what you were hired just here, just to watch?
Oh
the
yeah, me, a
boat?
couple of the other folks over there, and he kind of points back. You look over, and you don't really recognize anyone specifically. Maybe a face seems familiar or so, but no one that you would know the name of. But yeah, just yeah, they just needed some folks to come on down here and pack some things up, but apparently we're not allowed to pack them up yet. I don't know.
No. So you've been living here in Kristenholm?
No, up in Karlstad still, but yeah, me and Hurston, he just we got our apartment and such. It's not been the same since the good old days, but things are a lot different now. Definitely different. Not quite. If you've been back, it's be careful down by the docks. It's a different, just a different crew down there. Just a different.
I've heard there's these regiment folks now.
That's them. That's them, all right. Yeah. Yeah.
Any of our old crew work for them?
Yeah, I think Hurston got himself. He went ahead and got up, caught him. I tried. He's a good kid, after what happened to his father, But I don't know. He just didn't want to do the school thing, so he just ran around this and that.
Tisk.
Yeah.
I'll throw out the names that I saw on the crew manifest of, hey, have you heard? What have they been up to lately?
Yeah, we run into each other every now and then, get a beer or two. But no, they check in from time to time. But ever since and he kind of looks, he's starting to catch the drift, and he looks at the rest of you, but he's like, ever since the thing.
Sure.
Sure.
So they aren't working for the company?
No, I think they're just like me, just get with the work they can get, Just a lot of temp gigs and such, what you can here and there. I mean, there's a few, I think, who got out. I haven't. I do a little of this, a little of that, whatever I can. Whatever, the regiment doesn't take, I guess. But it is what it is.
Sounds like it's been hard times lately.
It's been rough. I don't know how to raise a kid. It ain't mine. But doing what I can. And you would know that he keeps dropping this name Hurston.
Right.
And you would know, and as would you, Dogmoore, that Hurston is like a younger guy. Like he was sort of like a preteen when you all were here, and he's probably a couple years older, so he's probably a teenager by now.
Sure.
But he is the son of a man who was mysteriously killed under mysterious circumstances by the name of Robert Kroon. So Hurston Kroon and Robert Kroon. And so, yeah, that something happened with that death, and no one ever quite figured out what happened. It kind of broke everybody's spirit, and Valheim gang kind of broke apart as a result. And so, yeah, and so Joseph's just been kind of raising Hurston as his own for a bit now.
It must just break your heart that he went over to the regiment.
Well, he checks in. He still checks in. He just, listen. I mean, like I said, I'm not his father. I can't tell him what to do and not to do. He's gonna be his own man, But
Bless you for doing more than the others did and taking him in.
That's true. That's true. I haven't seen him in a bit, but he'll swing by every week or two. I don't know. Comes in. He's got some new story. Got some new bruise on his face or something. But I mean, they're up to their own business,
Did he get you this contract to
Oh no.
keep an eye on this cargo?
He ain't got nothing to do with this. This is just me in the right place at the right time. Just a group of us. They needed a few people with some big arms and some strong backs and not much on the plates. So we came down here and hey, we're getting paid by the hour, so it's fine.
So where are you staying while you're here? You said you have a place?
I'm in the same place, Nothing's changed. Same place. So he lives up in Karlstad. But
where's he staying here in Kristenholm? Like at an inn or something?
I ain't staying. We're staying right here. And it's a camp. They got tents and stuff set up. Okay. Yeah, staying right here. I mean, good weather at least,
Yeah. Have you since you've been here, have you heard any wild animals or anything camping out here?
Yeah, we got dogs and things. Yeah, howls and such, that kind of thing. Not really, not that often. Once or twice. But yeah, little of this, little of that. Couple birds and whatnot. Why ask that? That's a strange question. I gotta tell you.
Well, it was our first night here last night, and could have sworn we heard some kind of howling out there, but everybody keeps saying there's no wild animals out there.
Hey, I don't know. I'm a city boy. This is the extent of roughing it for me. And you look around and there's nice tents and there's a couple wagons and they got a barrel of of some sort of brew they got set up over here. They're making the best of it.
So quick question. When we were in, I think, Stockholm, traveling here by train, I had picked up a newspaper and got some information about the company to get advantage. Is there anything that I can do with that advantage while I'm having this conversation with him to know something or just trying to get
once per mystery, right?
I mean, advantage you tap into.
Is it once per?
Advantage you tap into
once
mainly
per session.
Yeah, advantage you tap into mainly they get a bonus on a roll. So because you assign it to a skill. So if there's something you're trying to get from him and you want to roll a manipulation test or something like that, you can get a +2 from that. Sure. Do you want to do that? Is there something you're trying to get?
The only thing I was going to try to see was just try to get any inside information about the VP guy that we may not have already gotten from kind of external.
Okay. I mean, I would say when you start to just ask him some basic questions, it doesn't sound like he really knows too much about it. He's just I don't know. I don't know him. They just a few folks. They came in and said, "Hey, we're looking for if you." Normally they go through the Rustwater, but I guess they don't want to go through the Rustwater. They just want to, whatever it might be, But they came. I came down to the pub and asked for a few folks, and we kind of looked at each other.
Who's the Rustwater?
You would know the Rustwater. You already learned this. The Rustwater is the bar where the regiment kind of hangs out.
Oh, okay.
In Karlstad.
But they didn't go to them?
No, they didn't. Yeah, normally everything kind of funnels through them, but hey, listen, I ain't gonna turn down work. I'm trying to do a Bostonian. It's really not very good.
I got it.
It's just all a bunch of dock workers. It's wicked.
So there's nothing that Harston has said when he's been drinking or anything about.
He's
or anything.
I mean, I don't. What would Hurston know about the company? He doesn't work for them. Yeah. So Hurston's a 16-year-old boy.
Oh, that's right. He's with the regiment.
Who's running in a gang now, and this guy who's sort of his adopted guardian is it is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't think of anything else.
Okay. But all of you, heard most of this conversation. So if there's anything else that you want to barge in on, go right ahead.
I don't necessarily
I think that
have
covered most of
anything.
my mutual
Mhm.
interests as well.
Okay.
I do, I'm drawn. Maybe there's possible connections between this werewolf gang and this new ultra aggressive gang that's eating up all the smaller gangs. And
Metaphorically and otherwise.
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
King of werewolves.
Well, if you don't ask him anything else, they'll be like, well, it's good to see you. And, maybe we get a drink or something before you head on out.
Absolutely.
Okay. And he kind of looks over again at Dogmoore. He's like, you sure that's
Kinda-
not? And he's like, you think like there's a sense of recognition, like he gets it, but then he kind of looks around at everybody else, like, okay. And he just kind of does one of those, as if he kind of finally picks up on what you're putting down. Then he looks around. All right, well, come by the place. Come by. Maybe we'll see Hurst and she'll say, good to see him again. He's maybe you can talk some sense into him. It's a weird one, that kid. A weird one.
Oh,
And so he,
keep him in my prayers.
yeah, okay, you do that. He's still doing the prayer thing. Okay, all right. Well, I like your commitment, but all right. Yeah. And he backs away, waves, and that's that for them. Okay. So we're at like 9:04. If there's anything quick pressing that you wanted to take care of now, we could do that, or we could break and come back next week. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So we'll say you guys probably just make the walk back to town for now, and you're in Christenham middle afternoon. You looked at the barge site, met Caius' wife, and we will continue the mystery next week. So same time, more Vaesen, this channel. So if you're watching this live and you haven't followed, go ahead and hit the follow button. If you're watching this later on YouTube, come check us out, twitch.tv/the Lollygaggers. See if you can catch us live one of these nights. You can find out more of our stuff as well. We've got some other stuff up on our YouTube channel. You can find us on the weekends playing more Free League games, usually with Mutant Year Zero. We can also play some Electric Bashland. Thursdays we play Zweihander. You can catch us tomorrow. Oh, sorry, Evil Dice Monkey. Yeah, the VOD will be up. Yep, for sure. Thanks for thinking. Damn it, Jen. I would give in, but I could go for another 2-3 hours. But
We are not on Eastern time.
There are adults here that are not on Pacific time, so I'm trying to be respectful. I have to work tomorrow. Chuck's shaking his head, so I don't want to do that. Okay, so Gunnar, tell us about the podcast again. Where can they find it?
Steam, Steal, and Murder, which can be found at Blue Magic, BLUMAGIK.com. Lots of good role playing there. And check out the Notorious DMG, also a Twitch channel, also on YouTube.
Okay. Chuck, Defenders.
Defenders, twitch.tv/Defenders of Cobalt. We'll be here. We'll be on Defenders this Wednesday for some more Astonishing Swordsman Sources Hyperborea. Friday for Joe's 5th edition game, A Hollow Throne. Like I said, you can find me Tuesdays, Grim and Perilous Place for some aliens. Yeah, that's really all of it this week. You can also find us every other Friday on twitch.tv/ZweihanderRPG for our Zweihander campaign, The Bloody Marches. We're on a little hiatus from that right now. We're rerunning a Bitter Harvest. You can also find us every other Saturday on the Goodman Games Twitch channel for our brand new show, Danger Strangers. But most importantly, you can check out our zine, Dan Dies at the End. Go to DriveThruRPG. It's still on sale for 50 cents. And we're still working through the process. I'm hoping here within a week, the print on demand will finally be up. And you can get yourself a paper copy. So very cool.
All right. Should I do like the Vanna White thing or something?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really sells it.
Okay. And Jeremy's new podcast. Do I still have it on my clipboard? Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, that's sweet of you.
Jeremy, tell us again about that podcast.
Yeah, some friendly old nerds that like talking about comic books. We've got Batman Contagion and Ninja Turtles Urban Legends up on Anchor now. It's a good time. You should check it out.
And there it is, the links in chat if you want to check it out. Yeah, there's like a good almost 4 hours up there already, like between the Ninja Turtles one and the Batman one. There's a good couple of stuff up there. Okay, so yeah, tomorrow night catch me and Chuck on Tuesdays on Grim and Perilous. Catch us on Wednesday on Defenders of Cobalt. Catch me on Thursday on Zweihander RPG. Catch Chuck on Friday on Defenders. Catch. Well, shit. I'm not sure if we have anything on Saturday. We might. We might actually have something on Saturday. Actually,
we have something on Saturday, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
not a stream thing.
Yeah, we might have something earlier in the day on Saturday. I gotta have to double check with
okay.
my folks for that. And then Sunday, I think is
Notorious DMG, more Shadowrun.
And then once that's over, you're back here. So it's like we got you covered. You're good. So just do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so many great things.
Busy.
Okay. Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks for playing, and thanks for those who watch this later on VOD or YouTube. We'll catch you next time.